Oh, hey, morning. Couple of minutes after 7:30. The OCD in me is not happy. I don't like lateness. Drives me crazy. Anyway, so the last live morning sketches for this batch. I'll talk about my next little idea later for you guys to potentially join in if you want to. So I thought I'd end on a bright note because I've had this stack of paper to choose from every morning so far and haven't quite found the right thing for this bright yellow that I really love drawing on. And then I found this Martin Grant picture here and I thought, yeah, perfect, the yellow paper. I love drawing on bright colours, and this is another, I found this because I'm still sort of really setting up my studio. Another drawing I did on bright yellow, so where you get to use the colour of the paper as part of the illustration and it forms the colour of the clothes. So some more yellow clothes. That's what I'm doing. So it's been all about gouache paint this week, but it's not a bad thing. So sounds like a dance party upstairs where the radio is, because Fridays on PBS breakfast, Milo goes a bit dance because it's Friday. Oh, that's right, I've got to press a bit darker so you can see it. I mean, that's pretty much a full profile. So, sticking my neck out there on a live to try and do a profile while keeping my head out of the frame. Not always easy. Go down here. I really love drawing Martin Grant clothes because they're always really beautiful shapes, because he's sort of more about the shapes than fussy little details and stuff, so therefore they're kind of great to draw because you've got shapes that you can exaggerate and stuff. Martin Grant, I don't know whether you're actually familiar with the designer or not and the brand. Don't want to tell you how to suck eggs, but he's originally from Melbourne. And I think he turned to architecture later, that's right. He was kind of self-taught, and he was part of the Fashion Design Council when that sort of formed an independent bunch of designers in the 80s, where I actually did work experience as a high schooler in the country, came down to Melbourne and got to, because my art teacher in the country went to art school with Kate Durham, who is a jewellery maker and one of the founders of the FDC. And anyway, and then he was one of the designers then and kind of self-taught and stuff. And then years later, as an adult, I dated a guy who used to be Martin Grant's sample machinist. It's really weird dating a guy who can actually sew better than you can. I should have known it was a sign. He turned out to be a psychopath. But he made me an awesome dress. I kind of measured the waist measurement by putting his big hands around my waist. Sorry, not trying to turn this into something more, but it was kind of really cool that someone could judge measurements by doing that. But anyway, it was kind of weird. He could hand stitch better than I could. It's not right. So I've kind of got this almost full profile and also looking up at this. So I've actually drawn the head, looking down really. As usual, there's no point putting too much mapping lines on this because I'm going to paint gouache on here, so I'm going to lose all of that anyway. So I don't even know what I'm doing. Talking too much. So not sure if you can even see those grey lead lines, but there's probably no point putting more than that. So so got to think a little bit differently when you paint on coloured. So I've tried mixing colours before. Oh, it's already dried. This was seriously 5 minutes ago. Before going live because of my gouache paints being so dry, and really having a bit of trouble getting a skin tone that's going to work on the yellow. I went for the white, yellow ochre and flesh tint, and then it was too pink, and I remembered that when you paint that sort of tone on this yellow paper, it really throws it, because of course the brain is trying to fill the space with the opposite to yellow, which is purple. Anyway, so I put a bit of green in to try and neutralize it, and then that went overboard. So, and now look how dark that looks. Yeah, things come out really differently. I've got some white here though, I might just instantly edit that. But in any case, if you sort of paint this down like you're trying to be careful and get it right, it's going to look really crap in the drawing. As I always say, the less you try, the better it looks, even if it's wrong. And all of that trouble for that tiny bit of paint, that can go over there. I've got 2 Martin Grant items in my wardrobe, both coats, a leather coat and a beautiful heavy, like a serge wool coat. It's like, I used to call it my Russian army coat, so when I took it on my work trips to European winters, you could just put it on and you could have marched through the Siberian desert. Nothing was going to get in. It was so good. And the leather coat, I happened to buy when a rather significant world event was happening. I'd found my way to the Martin Grant Marais boutique when I was in Paris on a work trip, and found this leather coat on the sale rack, which was, the sale rack was still really expensive because the stuff was not cheap. And the girl that was working in the shop was on the phone, and all I could hear was, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And I was like, "Excuse me, how much is the coat?" And she got off the phone and she said, "You won't believe this, a plane has just flown into the Twin Tower in New York." And I was like, "Yeah, right. How much is the coat?" And it was expensive. So I started mouthing off about how I practically knew Martin because I came from Melbourne and all of that. And then she called him, and I could hear her speaking in French, saying something about Melbourne. And I was like, "Oh no, I don't actually know him. We're not actually friends. I know other people that sort of know him." And anyway, and then I did get a discount, but I still couldn't afford it. And then her phone rang again, and she was like, "Oh my God, another plane has flown into the other Twin Tower." I was like, "Oh, really? Well, if it did happen, I reckon all the bank lines are going to go down. I'll probably never have to pay for this coat." So I used my 3 different credit cards to pay for it and walked outside, and the world had changed. I was flying to London a few hours later. So anyway, I've always had that memory attached to my leather coat whenever I wear it. Turned out not to start World War III, but it definitely changed things. So trying to paint around the colour and do it as minimally as possible. So I've just mixed a little bit of black with the yellow paint, which gives you this kind of greeny tone in this case. Depends what the colours the actual paint is made with. It's gone really green, hasn't it? It's like, so that's just the yellow and black only, right? And it has mixed into green. I don't get that. If I was doing this just, as an illustration I was going to spend more time on, I would mix a better colour and mix some orange into there to get the warmth back into it, etc. But never mind. Oh, that's a bit yuck. So anyway, in about a week, I'm just going to take a little break from sharing the morning sketches. Also, I've got some mega deadlines next week that are going to bust my balls. And then I mentioned on Instagram last night that I'm going to do another week of it, but for anyone who wants to join in, if you send me your email address, just private message me or whatever, send me your email address and I'll email you whatever picture I'm going to draw the night before, and you can draw along with me and I'll give you some, my suggested media or whatever, so you've got stuff ready if you want to do it along with me, and I'll sort of give my tips along the way and stuff. Not a full-on lesson, but a bit. I'm going to do some more live online classes over summer. It's been such a busy year. Yeah, it's getting a bit messy, isn't it? Okay. The radio's going off upstairs. I don't know that I'm really ready for dance music in the morning. Some days. I think that paint isn't a super 100% dry, so it's a bit, the surface is a bit soft to try and draw on. It's just looking really light. Might have to blast this for a minute. Sorry about the noise. maybe instead of a hard charcoal pencil, I'll just go black pencil. Really want it sharper. I hate blunt lines. Gross. I mean, if you're going to do this stuff on coloured paper, you actually really don't want to overdo the line work. You only want to do as much as you need to give it definition. I felt like mine was looking a little bit lost. Slow down a bit when you're on the profile. You can go horribly wrong on a profile in half a heartbeat, and it can look particularly crap. What does it need? Maybe a bit of a horizon line back there. That might be it. Yeah. So thanks for joining. Last live. If you want to get on board with the ones in a week or so, I'll put a post on Instagram anyway about if you want to be part of it, and I'll email you the pictures and stuff the night before. Okay. Have a good day.